Maximize your EV charger utilization with proper promotion. Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me on another episode of EV Charging Minute. We're here to bring you tips, ideas, and best practices related to EV charging in commercial real estate, brought to you by Stay in Charge and myself here as the founder of Stay in Charge. So today, in today's topic, I want to talk about promoting, right? Like getting out there and getting these stations promoted, because you can't just build it and expect people to show up. Okay. Sure, somebody's going to show up and use them. They're going to find them eventually, but that's not the way to really make the maximum ROI on your EV charging investment. So we want to make sure that we're getting these things out and making people know about them, right? Because that's what we see all the time, whether it's customers that we're just doing an audit on to help them figure out why they're not making money off their chargers, or ones that maybe had somebody else's installed for a while. And you know, a lot of times when we're talking to somebody, if they've already got chargers, if they're not seeing results, we'll kind of guide them on a few things like this. Because if you have chargers at your commercial real estate and you're not getting the results you like, this is a good checklist to start looking at, because we see it all the time. So one thing to realize is EV drivers, they're searching, right? They're searching for places with chargers. So they're doing that typically well before they get out on their journey, a lot of them. And then there's another group of travelers or drivers that are going to be searching in the moment. So when you look at it from a big perspective, make sure that you realize that it's kind of two different sides here, right? You have the driver that's going to plan ahead. They're going to map out their route. They're going to know where they're going, and they're going to be looking for your chargers. Then you have the group that they're just out on the road and they're traveling somewhere, and they realize, oh, I need a charge, or I'm going to be spending the night in this town. Let me pull into the town and look around. See, the reason why it's important to understand both sides is because they're going to use different ways of finding. Okay. If you are planning a trip ahead, you're not going to be in the map, right? You're not going to be in Google Maps looking at the exact location where you're at, because you're probably not there. So you're going to be maybe in Google Maps searching an area, but more likely you're going to be somewhere else, right? If you're looking for, an apartment to rent, you might be looking in apartments.com in that new city that you're moving to. If you're looking for a hotel to stay when you're going to visit grandma, then you're probably looking in that city either on a booking website or a hotel website or Stay in Charge. Okay. So that side of the group is going to be using one set of tools. And then you got a whole nother set that are in the moment that'll be using their set of tools. And they might be the information system in their vehicle, their maps that they're on, things like that. Because those are going to be more kind of what we call ad hoc, like it's in the moment. I happen to be driving through this little town and I need a charge. So I'm like, oh, where can I find a charge here? I wouldn't have done any previous research. So people are going to look different areas. So we want to make sure that we get out there in the broad areas as everywhere we can, so that we can make sure we're showing up. And that's what we're going to, kind of go through today. So I want to start today with the basics. Okay. What are the basics? Well, obviously that's your map sites, right? Like your Google Maps, your Apple Maps, your Waze. You want to make sure that anybody that goes on a map is going to find your chargers, right? That's very important. Then there's a lot of what we call charger sites, like charger location sites, geolocation platforms. Those are things like PlugShare, Charge Hub. These are all mobile apps or websites that drivers use. EV Hotels, another one's, Stay in Charge. That's a big thing that we do. That's places that people go to, right? So they're sitting at the desk, they're planning a trip next week. They're going to search through one of these directories to see what's out there. So you got to make sure that you're showing up in there, right? So that, to me, that's where it starts. That's the bare minimum, that you have your chargers showing up on every map that's out there, that you're in PlugShare, that you're in you're in Stay in Charge and places that these drivers are going to be looking. Then we get into where else we need to be promoting it, right? So the next thing obviously is your website and on your social media, because if I'm going to a city, if I'm moving to a city, and I want to move in an apartment complex, I might just be in there, okay, I might go into Google and search for apartments. I might be somewhere and search for apartments, and I start looking at your places. Um, and if it's not on your website, then I don't know that you have EV charging. And so I might move on down and go to a different thing. Right. And there's a lot of people out there that still search that way. Like I for one, often do that myself, because I got used to going to, the booking sites, these aggregation sites all sound great, but they don't always have everybody. They don't always, and you don't always get to see exactly what you want to see, because some people may have paid more, some people paid less. So I often look at that and I might also do my own thing on Google. So make sure that your website, your social media, all those kind of things are showing that these chargers are showing up, that people can see that, hey, that they have chargers here, because you want to make sure everybody's seeing you. Now that you got your sites, right, your social media, your stuff all organized, now we want to turn to any third-party informational sites where you have listings. This is your booking.coms of the world, your apartments.coms of the world, right? Things like that, where that your potential customer, tenant, visitor, whatever that person that might be coming to your location, right? Where might they go? Where might they go to find you? And so you want to make sure that all that is showing up, because, obviously we do a lot in the hospitality industry, and I can, promise you, if an EV driver decides to use booking.com, they're going to click in there and they're going to set a filter and they're going to ask for EV, only show me hotels with EV charging. That's what they're going to do. Well, at least 76% of them are, because that's the reason why they choose a hotel. So if you're not showing up in booking.com or Expedia or one of those sites when they click that filter, then you're getting bypassed. Same thing happens in, like apartments.com, right? If I was looking for an apartment, I might go in and filter that. If I drive an EV and I'm looking to change apartments next year or this year, I'm going to probably filter out and say, hey, I want hotels with EV or apartments with EV charging only. So if I didn't make sure that that was updated, now I miss on that potential. So you want to make sure that any third party, I call them informational or directory sites, anything out there that has that kind of vibe going on where your company is showing up, make sure you're listed as having the EV chargers, because that will help it show up. And then the last part that is often overlooked, because especially in the hotel side, people don't think about this. They're kind of like, well, they're already there, so why do I have to worry about it? But make sure you're promoting it at your property, right? Like I don't, we as a company, Stay in Charge has always send out a little kit to all of our new hotels. And one of the things we did was create a couple little marketing pieces that we put in that little kit so that they could place them, around the hotel. So guests that show up can see that, right? It does a couple things. One, it says, oh, we're friendly, we're environmental friendly, we're sustainable, all this stuff. And if the person doesn't have an EV, they don't really care, but then it still registers. And that maybe they had an EV at home and next time they know to bring it, or maybe they know somebody that has an EV and they say, oh, well, we stayed at this great place and they have EV chargers. So promote it around your property. Put some signs out. We even have some things. We've been working on some more marketing stuff with some people to put like door clings that says, oh, we offer EV charging. Things like that really make a difference, just to let people know. It keeps them coming back if they do go to EV charging and things like that. And the one cool thing about like a map or something like that, or some kind of notice in the lobby, it can be some wayfinding as well. Like chargers located in, backside of parking lot by pool. Good way to kind of get that stuff out there. Another way you can do it, and we have some companies doing this as well, is in like your booking packages or your uh, even a rental package, right? If you're trying to use EV charging to bring in more rentals, then say, oh, maybe throw some deal together. If you got an EV, we're going to give you a special deal. We'll give you something, whatever. But there's packages you can do, right? A lot of our hotels even use this as a way to just manage chargers, but they'll put a stay and charge package as a room package that somebody can book. That way they can promote it on the booking website. So those are all ways to make sure. Those are kind of the minimums that I recommend that you do. And then there's a bit more you can do. And these things take a little bit more work, maybe not give you as much recognition or drive value to it, but they will help some. So if you got the time, I recommend doing these. Check out local business listings, directories, things like that. Most towns have a couple different directories floating around out there that you might have a profile in, you might not. If you do, make sure somewhere in you're noting EV charging. Reach out to EV enthusiast groups. So that's a pretty easy thing to do. Actually, if you go online, I give you a tip here, right? If you go online onto Facebook or anything like that, what you'll find out is Facebook on there's groups for like EV drivers and Tesla drivers for just about any market around in the United States. So you can go jump into those groups and just say, maybe just put a blurb in there sometime like, hey, we're adding chargers at our hotel. You can't really go and do a lot of promotion. It's not made for that, but it doesn't hurt to go in and tell anybody. He's like, hey, if you're ever going to be in the greater Chicago market and you're looking for a place to stay with EV chargers, we welcome, Tesla drivers, right? Just something like that. So most of the admins won't ping you for that. If you try to add too much, they're going to, get you, but doesn't hurt to go out there, reach out, even pay attention to them. I spent a lot of time in those forums, just waiting for people to ask questions and then we would answer. We even do that today for our host properties. We'll kind of monitor. Another place is your power company. Sometimes your local power company will have a map with chargers, so check with them. And then you could even...
Sorry, could you say that again?
You could even look at making your space available, like your parking lot available, to host some EV events. I know in the state of Georgia, they had a group that went around that, traveled. They did like a travel show where they rode around with, half a dozen EVs and stuff, and they would find a parking lot in a local market, and they would just set up and kind of do that, let kids walk around and, tell people about EV charging. Well, that's not a bad thing to do in your neighborhood, right? Put that out there. People see it. They go, oh, I didn't even know that they had charging. Cool. It's all future stuff, right? And then I would also add it, last thing here on this is add it to your kind of sustainability reports or anything you do on that. If you're promoting, a green stay or a green apartment complex type thing, just add that to it. Make sure you're out there marketing and promoting it. So EV charging is a great thing. It does bring in revenue. It does bring in more guests, more tenants. It does a lot of great things, but you have to promote it. We see the difference here. I can tell you as an operator, we can see the huge difference. The groups that are out there, the hosts that are out there really marketing themselves with this stuff do way better than a lot of our other partners. So make sure you're doing this stuff. Just go through, make a little checklist, make sure you're reaching out and getting all these things done the right way. If you have any questions on this, as always, our team is standing by. Just reach out, hit us up at our website, or go by, send us an email at sales@stayincharge.com. We're always glad to share this information and help people. We'll take a look and see what we can do for you. All right. That is all for today. I hope you learned something new about EV charging.